Why am I like this today? Tired. I'm tired and I haven't had a coffee. Blech. Hello good people of the internet, my name is Hexa. Welcome and welcome back to my channel and to today's video in which I will be sharing with you 21 tiny habits for a better life. Most of these things don't require a lot of time or money, some of them do, but they are mostly just super easy things to implement into your daily life to make your life better, happier, and healthier. Tip number one is to make your bed every morning as soon as you wake up. Number one, this is a way to make your room look a lot cleaner super fast and super easily. And number two, it's something that you've accomplished first thing in the morning and it really sets a standard for how the rest of your day is going to go. Basically, the start of the snowball effect of positive momentum. Number two is to bring a book into the bathroom with you instead of your smartphone. I know a lot of us are guilty of just like sitting on the toilet, scrolling through our phones, and I think the reason why we do that is because being in the bathroom is just like a little bit of alone time in the day that we get, but scrolling through your phone is not really contributing to your well-being or to your life in any way, whereas reading a good book might actually stimulate your brain and teach you something, so why not just bring a book into the bathroom instead for your alone time. Number three is after going to the bathroom, commit to building a habit of doing X number of jumping jacks or squats or push-ups or whatever other kind of exercise you'd like to do. This is just a super simple way to fit some physical activity into your day without even having to think about it, right? You're gonna go to the bathroom at some point anyways, so why not just take that time to also remind you to do some good habits. Number four is to take refreshing breaks. And by that, I don't mean the kind of break where you switch tabs from your work tab to your Netflix tab. I mean the kind where you actually get up, stretch your legs, go outside, or sit down with your pet on the couch and just like have a little cuddle session, talk to a friend, have a coffee or a matcha or a tea or something. Take a break that will actually refresh, revive, and rejuvenate you so that you feel ready to get back to work by the end of it. Number five, introduce more novelty into your life. This, I admit, is probably one of the more time-consuming / expensive / difficult things to do, but it's well worth it if you try. And it doesn't have to be expensive actually, but it does mean that you're carving out a little bit of extra time every week for yourself. What I mean by novelty is stop getting trapped in that loop of every single day feeling the same, just waking up, going to work, eating, sleeping, and doing it all over again. Instead, try to find things that you can do every day or every week that will actually be new and exciting experiences that will stick out in your memories. Things like going to concerts, taking a class, going out with your friends, going for a weekend trip somewhere new, going to an amusement park and riding a roller coaster. Whatever it is that appeals to you, just think of some new things that you can do in your days and weeks so that you'll actually remember those moments and remember your life and not have every single day just be the same. At the end of your life, you're not going to remember all of the time that you spent watching Netflix shows or browsing Twitter, but you will remember all of those things that you did that were special and unique and new. Tidy your workspace for 5 minutes before you go to bed or before you leave work. This is a way to ensure that the next day when you get back to work, everything is going to be neat and tidy and exactly where it should be, which is going to make you feel amazing and feel ready for the start of a new day. Number seven, keep a big bottle of water next to you at all times. And here is mine. You just heard my voice crack, so I'm going to take a sip. I never used to drink enough water. I was always like a chronically dehydrated person because most of the time I was just too lazy to get up and refill my tiny like 200 ml cup of water. But once I got this 1 liter bottle, which is also pink and cute and pretty and makes me happy to look at, I actually started drinking a little bit more water and staying hydrated, which I think is a really great positive change that I've made in my life. You know, it's all about making the habits that you want to do convenient. So if you have a big bottle of water next to you at all times, you're going to take a sip every time that you get thirsty because it's not going to be difficult. Next up, number 8, designate a place for your incoming papers and mail. I know that papers and letters can be a huge source of stress because they're usually containing something that needs to be dealt with, like bills or whatever, and it's really tempting to just like leave these laying around somewhere to be dealt with at some point in the future, but then they end up being all over the place. You can't find them, which adds to the stress. So why not just have one specific spot somewhere in your house where all of your papers go, and keep that space organized and actually go through those papers on a regular basis and deal with the ones that need to be dealt with, throw away the ones that can be thrown away, and in that way you keep your papers organized and you keep your space clutter-free, and most importantly, your mind stress-free. Number 9 is to designate a junk drawer. I know this might be controversial, but I think that actually everybody needs some space for junk, because we all have like miscellaneous things that pop up in our lives that we don't exactly know what category they fit into or where they belong. And when you're like tired and just having one of those days where you don't have the mental capacity to deal with things like that, you end up just like throwing them into the first space that's available, and that is what creates like this big source of clutter in the home. But if you have a designated junk drawer for those miscellaneous little items that you don't know what to do with, then at least there's one place for them and everything else remains clutter-free. And of course, I would recommend that, you know, once the drawer becomes full, you take everything out of it, go through it, look at it, see what's there, see what needs to be kept and what can be thrown away, and just like try as much as you can to organize your junk drawer or even empty it to make space for future junk. Number 10, put things back where they belong after you've used them. I know, this is something that we were all taught in kindergarten, but somehow I feel like there are a lot of adults, including myself, who struggle to do this. The last month and a half, I've done an experiment where I took literally 90% of my belongings and put them in boxes and suitcases up in the attic and kept only the bare minimum amount of stuff in my physical space in my bedroom. And what I've realized is that even with having the bare minimum amount of stuff, my space still became cluttered. Why? Because I wasn't putting things back where they belong after I used them. And once I started doing that, things started to actually look clean and pristine, and like my space just feels so much more calm and serene now that there's not just like things everywhere, things all over the floor, things all over my desk. I'm so much happier when I actually take, you know, 2 seconds out of my day to put things back where they belong. Number 11 is to throw things away as soon as you realize that you don't need or want them anymore. Let's say, for example, that you're looking for a shirt, and while you're looking for that shirt, you find a different shirt that you realize you haven't worn in ages and it's not really your style anymore and you don't need or want it anymore. And yet, for some reason, rather than just getting rid of the shirt at that moment, a lot of people would just leave it there in the drawer and like think they'll deal with it later. Whereas it would be much simpler if as soon as you come across that item that you know you don't need anymore, you just, you know, put it in a donate box or a throwaway or giveaway or sell box. Just like keep a space somewhere for those things that need to be gotten rid of, and just get rid of it right away. I had an experience recently where I had bought some new Pilot V5 pens to replace my old ones because some of the old ones were like running out of ink. And when the new pens arrived, I found myself keeping the old pens because in my mind I was thinking, oh, these still have a little bit of ink in them, let me just like completely use them up. But then all that ended up happening was I was confusing the new ones with the old ones. I couldn't tell which one was which, and then I'm suddenly confused as to why I can't write properly. So when I actually made the decision to just get rid of the old ones once and for all and, you know, rejoice in having my new pens, it was just like a really freeing moment to just like let it go. Number 12 is to have a hobby. As kids, we all had hobbies, right? We did sports, or we did arts and crafts, or we did something related to the performance arts, and it was great. But now as adults, there's so many people who don't have hobbies, and I just think it's so sad because you need to nurture that inner child and you need to make space and time in your life to be creative, to do the things that you enjoy, to express yourself in some way, to spend time with your friends. So, you know, find a hobby, choose a hobby that will uplift you and that allows you to, you know, just have fun and just go back to what it was like to be a kid. And definitely do not, under any circumstances, start doing that thing of like, ooh, how can I turn this hobby into a money-making source? Because that is not the point of hobbies. You need at least one hobby in your life that is just a hobby, never gonna make you any money, but you just do it for fun, okay? So just you know, raise your right hand and say, I solemnly swear not to turn my hobby into a potential source of revenue because it is stressful and it makes it not a hobby, but another job. Okay. Number 13 is to stop watching the news. I know, another controversial one, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now, but hear me out. You're going to hear everything that you need to hear about what's going on in the world from people around you, but you don't need to inundate yourself with all of the statistics and all of the updates and all of these things that we're being flooded with every single day. I just feel like the news channels really feed off of this concept of like disaster porn and, you know, the fact that when something horrible is happening, you just have trouble breaking away from it. But you don't need to let yourself get sucked in. You're not just staying informed, you're actually just harming yourself and stressing yourself out and occupying a lot of your time by hearing the same facts over and over and over again expressed in different ways. And it's just not necessary. Again, you're gonna hear everything that you need to hear from the people around you, guaranteed. It's not gonna mean that you're uninformed, but you don't need to know all of the facts and you don't need to be hearing that stuff day after day constantly. Number 14 is to floss every night. This is a habit that I have recently started implementing and oh my gosh, you don't know what you're missing out on because my mouth feels so much cleaner when I floss compared to when I just brush my teeth. It actually makes a world of a difference, so I highly recommend going out, trying a few different brands of floss until you find one that you really like, and just make it a habit. Keep your floss right there next to your toothbrush or your toothpaste so that you'll actually remember to floss every day. It is a great habit to start. It'll be great for your dental hygiene, and it'll be, you know, another thing that just makes you feel cleaner and nice. Number 15, stop multitasking, because multitasking does not work. It's just switching between different tasks really quickly and essentially makes you operate worse in both or all of the tasks that you're trying to do at the same time. We're not actually capable of multitasking. So rather than multitasking, I would actually recommend that you try to batch similar activities into the same chunk of time. That way you get it all out of the way at once before moving on to a different kind of work or activity. Number 16 is to judge productivity by the results you achieve, not by the time that you spend. I recently realized that whenever I had days where I didn't work a certain number of hours, I would then go and judge myself for it and feel like I had been really unproductive, even if it was a day when I made a lot of money or I got a lot of the results that I wanted. I would feel like I had been unproductive because I didn't spend enough time on it. But the actual definition of productivity is being efficient and achieving those results in as little time as possible. So if you manage to get your work done in less time, then rejoice in the fact that you've been super productive and now you've freed up time for your hobbies or for something else, for time with your family, right? So yeah, again, judge your level of productivity by the results you achieve, not by the time you've spent. Number 17 is to schedule calls with friends, because if you don't schedule them, you're not going to end up calling your friends. And ever since I started scheduling calls with friends, I actually feel so much better, so much more connected, so much happier. I always have someone to talk to and we get to catch up, and it's a really nice feeling. Number 18, when you go shopping at the supermarket, buy your fresh foods first before you move on to buying your junk food or your snacks. The logic being that if you fill up your cart with snacks, then you're gonna see that it's like so full already, and you're going to fill up the remaining space with only a small amount of those healthy foods that you actually want to be eating. So instead, you should do the reverse, get all of those healthy things first and then use the remaining small amount of space in your cart for the snack foods that you'll enjoy. I'm not saying don't buy snacks ever, because I think we all enjoy some processed foods, but it's just about creating a little bit more balance. Supermarkets really tend to trick your brain into sometimes buying the wrong things that are not necessarily very healthy for you. So if you just fill up your cart first with all of the fresh foods and then you move on to the processed foods, you'll be able to make better decisions and just like purchase a more reasonable quantity of junk food. Connected to my last point, number 19 is to keep healthy snacks nearby. Again, make it easy to do the habits that you want to be doing. So keep a bowl of fruit or a ready cut up thing of vegetables or a ready-made bag of trail mix next to you at your desk so that you always have a healthy snack nearby rather than the often more convenient unhealthy snacks like chips and chocolate bars. Just prepare ahead of time and bring it to work or just keep it next to you on your desk, and that way you'll be less likely to turn to those unhealthy snacks. Number 20 is to set aside time for self-care, whatever that means to you, whether that is a bubble bath or going and playing tennis with your buddies or watching a football game, or I don't know, I don't watch sports, so I don't know what I'm talking about, but just set aside time for self-care, set aside time to do the things that refuel you. And lastly, number 21, create moments of stillness, silence, and solitude. This doesn't have to mean meditation, but it can be. It can also be a walk out in nature all by yourself, or it can be just lying in your bed, staring at the ceiling, not talking to anybody, not being in the presence of anybody, just being by yourself, or taking a bath where you can just sit there and soak and have a moment of stillness. The point of this being that you're creating a distraction-free environment in which you can get inspired and have creative thoughts, because when everything is like blank around you, when there's no stimulation around you, you're not being distracted by music or movies or people talking to you or anything like that, then your brain starts to create things within it to like fill up the empty space. So I think it's, especially if you're a creative, this is absolutely essential to spend some time every day or every week, just whenever you can, by yourself in a moment of stillness and silence. That was everything that I wanted to talk to you guys about today. I hope that it helped you to create a happier, healthier life. I hope there's some things in here that you were able to pick up and implement in your daily life. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you want to follow me on social media, all of my links are down below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.